Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Clemmontime podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Clemens. And if you're watching this, I appreciate that you're tuning in and whatever amount of time that you watched this, you did. So really appreciate this. Once again, I've been picking against the spread. I've had some up and down weeks, and this week is one of those weeks that it wasn't terrible, but it was not what I was anticipating to happen in some of these games, and some of them were a little bit of a shocker, if I have to be honest with you. You don't expect some of these teams that played very poorly to just come out and completely flip the script and maybe beat teams that have been playing well. Something that you look at and you say it's any given Sunday, and there's a reason why that's said, because you don't know what is going to happen on Sundays. It's not like college. It's different. Usually on college, you have a possible upset bid. That team is usually going to be pretty good. Usually they're a school that hasn't been that successful, and then they beat a ranked school of some sort, and it's an upset. But usually when you have a better team in college, you can really determine who's going to win that game and not really have a problem with picking a winner or loser for the most part. Well, this week I had some that should have been gimmies, and they were not, especially if you're picking against the spread. One of them was super ridiculous, and I talked about this in the last episode. I'm not really big on picking these double-digit point favorites to win or cover the spread, especially 16.5 points. That means you got to win by 17. And we will talk about the spread. And as we do, we did talk already that I picked the Seattle over Arizona. So it started off 1-0. And then the last episode I recorded, it was in the midst of the Minnesota Vikings and the Pittsburgh Steelers playing in Ireland. For the most part, Pittsburgh dominated that game. There should have not been as close of a score as we ended up getting, but final score was 24-21. Steelers played probably 3 quarters of really good football, and then the fourth quarter was just Carson Wentz, Minnesota Vikings shenanigans. Just Carson Wentz continuing to play, no matter what the score is, and he plays fairly well in this game. I mean, the 2 turnovers, that's probably going to be the one thing that's really setting him apart from winning this game. I mean, 24-21, I did say it shouldn't have been close, but you look at what the Vikings did, they could have had this. You got 6 sacks on Carson Wentz, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, but he went 30 of 46 for 350 yards. He was chewing it up out there. That Steelers defense, especially the secondary, is very suspect. They're finally getting a pass rush. The 6 sacks prove that. But you are just getting eaten up in the secondary. I mean, 6 sacks, let's add 6 completions to his already 30. So then he'd be 36 of 46, probably closer to 400 yards if they don't get him on those sacks. And typically on sacks, if you were to go back, watch film, you would usually see that, man, if he didn't get sacked, he probably could have got that too. His receiver open downfield. And I don't like that this thing is so zoomed in. So if it is zoomed in, let me try to back this thing out. Holy cow. Let me see. Huh. Yeah, we'll figure this out. Maybe I just need to set back from the mic. I just can't do it because I usually let this thing sit on the desk. But you know what? I'm going to hold it today. We'll see how this goes with holding it and seeing if I'm a little bit more in view. Let's give it a shot. All right, so Justin Jefferson had his best game of the season. He ends up having 10 catches for 126 yards. Best game of the season by far. And, you don't know what to expect from him every week, but we do know that when he is on the field, quarterbacks are looking for him. Regardless of who's been out there, they've tried to get the ball to Justin Jefferson, but this time he got 11 targets, 10 catches for 126. No touchdowns, though. And it was good to see Jordan Addison back in this game. Jordan Addison had 4 catches for 114 yards. That is absolutely incredible. Had the 81-yard touchdown. Should have been 81-yard touchdown. He got hawked down. He was Peyton Wilson. He has no ACLs in his knees, by the way, or one of his knees, which is why he dropped in the draft, playing at NC State. Very good linebacker, just people are a little skeptical when you're missing an ACL and They're supposed to have two of them. But the Vikings offense just a lot of this was late in the game, but for the most part, very productive offense. Just the Steelers defense just got after Carson Wentz. And if you watch the game, Carson Wentz had some Carson Wentz plays. I believe he got fumbled one time and the ball just went flying. So I watched the game for the most part, and I was recording, so a little bit of a multitask thing going on there. Kind of difficult, but watching that game, I felt like Pittsburgh was really going to run away with this, and they didn't. But Aaron freaking Rodgers, man, he's 41 years old, and this man threw probably one of the best balls that you're going to see a 41-year-old throw, because Joe Flacco ain't getting it done. And we'll talk about Joe Flacco a little bit more, because by the time you see this, you probably already know that Joe Flacco is not the quarterback for the Cleveland Browns anymore. He is now the certified backup. Aaron Rodgers, over probably the last 5 years, I would say, maybe even 6 years, his 300-yard games are just slim to none for the most part. And he doesn't have a bad game, but this man is known as a gunslinger, and he is not really hitting that 300-yard mark. And he had a pretty solid game. He had the one touchdown, which makes it seem like his game was great. But if you take that 80-yard touchdown away, Aaron Rodgers is 17 of 21 for 120 yards. DK Metcalf had 5 catches for 126 and a touchdown. Gainwell, 6 catches, 35 yards. And just a huge drop-off in the receiver aspect for the Steelers. But when you have Aaron Rodgers out there, you don't necessarily need to have star-studded receivers. But I do wish that Jonnu Smith would just be involved quite a bit more. The thing with Jonnu Smith is you don't trade for Jonnu Smith and just not try to get him the ball. That's the biggest mistake that you're going to make, because Jonnu Smith, as a Dolphins fan, I watched Jonnu Smith have his best career, and he's a reliable pass catcher. And he's got 3 targets, 2 catches for 6 yards. On the season, Jonnu Smith, through 4 games, has 14 catches for 71 yards. I don't see how he could be happy going there. Yeah, he wanted a pay raise. And we're going to talk about some unhappy people in the situation that they're in, and it just does not make sense. It absolutely just frustrates me how you could be in that mindset, because you play the game to win, and maybe if you're not winning, maybe you're worried about the bag that you're trying to secure. That's okay. That's okay to worry about your financial stability, which your family's going to live off of for the rest of their life, possibly. There's all those things out there. To be a top tight end, wanting more money, to get traded, knowing that you're probably not going to be a big factor in the offense, is a little mind-boggling for me, because Jonnu Smith wasn't super duper involved in a lot of offenses in his past. I mean, you go back and you look at Jonnu Smith, he's had, let's go through this. First season, 18 catches. Second season, 20, 35, 41, 28, 27. 27, and that's through 6 years of his career. Averaged about 30 catches. And then all of a sudden he goes to Atlanta, where Arthur Smith is a RPO kind of offense guy. I mean, you saw it. Can't think of his name right now. Quarterback from Cincinnati, University of Cincinnati. And Desmond Ridder. You saw it with him. That was a RPO offense. Tight ends hardly got involved, unfortunately. Hence to why Kyle Pitts felt like the most underrated top tight end draft pick in the draft, as a receiving tight end. That's because Arthur Smith does not get the tight end the ball, and that is exactly what's happening right now in Pittsburgh. He's the offensive coordinator there. They hardly got the ball to him last year, to anybody in the tight end aspect. Yeah, you have Freiermuth, you have a solid tight end, but you're not utilizing this guy. Jonnu Smith had 88 catches for 884 yards last year. That's 38 more catches than his career high and 302 more yards. And he tied his career high for touchdowns. So if you ask me, This Pittsburgh Steelers offense could be a little bit better if you just involved somebody that you traded picks for to get. And he's 30 years old. He's probably got at least a solid four years in him. 3 probably guaranteed, but I would say 4, 5 at the most. But the Steelers offense, it's efficient. Aaron Rodgers doesn't really turn the ball over a lot, and he got sacked 2 times. And the running game was there. Kenneth Gainwell, 19 carries, 99 yards. That's 5.2 a carry and 2 touchdowns. So that's where most of your scoring came from. It's in your running game. So I'm just not sure what the Steelers are doing. You have Aaron Rodgers. Yes, he's 41. Maybe the offensive line isn't that great. You saw in his previous game how this man was running around like crazy, just launching footballs down the field. And they had a chance against Seattle. But they've got to do just a little bit more. 18 to 22, though. That is a really good stat as a quarterback. Going to go ahead and move on. I did get that one right. I went plus 1.5 Pittsburgh. They ended up winning that one 24-21. Going on to Washington at Atlanta. So, Washington at Atlanta, we had a final score of a 34-27 Atlanta Falcons win. I honestly was shocked at this outcome because the way Michael Penix played the week before looked like someone that had not saw a lot of these defensive coverages thrown at him, and he was missing a lot of passes. Just didn't seem to know where he wanted to go with the ball, and did not look like somebody that was drafted in the first round as the 8th overall pick. He didn't look like it. And right now he's played 4 games compared to his 5 last year. Through 4 games, he does have almost 200 more yards passing, but he is literally identical stats after that. 62% completion, 58.1 last year, 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Those are identical, but he has taken 5 sacks. His QB rating is up just a tad, but right now Michael Penix isn't wowing us. There's no wow factor. And I think when you get somebody that plays, 5-6 years of college football like he did, and now he's 25 years old. How many 25-year-old second-year quarterbacks are there besides Bo Nix and Michael Penix? Tua's been in the league. This is year 6 or year 7, and I think he's 26 or 27 years old. So if that tells you something about how old these quarterbacks are coming out, they should be well polished. To the extent of maybe you shouldn't be having these sophomore slumps. And he's not even to that point yet. He is literally still 9 games into his NFL career, 5 last year and 4 so far this year. And he's been very consistent of what he's been. Honestly, he has. He's only threw 20 more passes in 1 less game. So, that right there could easily be 5 more passes in every game that he plays, and he's right there next to that number. He's probably got identical stats. So Michael Penix played a terrible game, and then he just comes out and he just rips the Commanders' defense apart. He goes 20 of 26, 313, 2 touchdowns, interception. Only got sacked 1 time in this game. But Drake London and Bijan Robinson had a fantastic game. Bijan Robinson, or Bijan, has been hearing they like to call him, has had a phenomenal year receiving the football. He had a long 69-yarder in this game, and he's had multiple 65-plus yard catches now. I believe that's his 2nd, possibly his 3rd. He goes 4 for 106. That is an absolutely ridiculous stat for a running back to have that's out there taking probably 85% of the snaps, maybe even more. But 17 carries for 75 yards. Bijan Robinson is the total package back there. And then to have Tyler Algier taking half of those carries away from him just allows him to be more of a pass catcher instead of spelling one or the other. Because Algier does not catch the ball at all. So far, he hasn't. In this game, of course. So looking at Algier's stats, as far as a receiving back, not big on receiving. He's got 49 career catches. And this is his 4th year in the league. His career catch is 18. So really not one of the guys that's going to be catching the ball out of the backfield On the other hand, Bijan, he's got 58 catches in year 1 and 61 catches in year 2. So he is definitely a back that is going to be targeted out of the backfield. You're going to put him out there in motion to see what linebacker may cover him or if anybody goes with him. Quintessentially, he is another version of Christian McCaffrey, but maybe just a little bit better, in my opinion. Marcus Mariota got his second start in this game, and once again, Marcus Mariota is not that elite passer. He does get the job done, but, 16 to 27, 156, 2 touchdowns, an interception, and he took 2 sacks. And the running game is there. There is no question about that. The running game is there for the Washington Commanders. The passing game has really fell off lately. Jaden Daniels, he's in his second year. He's coming back from an MCL sprain in his knee. So no telling how much he's going to try to run the ball. He may try to be more of a pocket passer. Expect the passing game to be a little bit better, mainly because he's probably not going to try to run as much, and he may try to protect himself a little bit more. Typically, quarterbacks that are good runners, they don't really worry about these things for the most part. So I'm not sure how much he will. But that is something to look for to see if Jaden Daniels is going to change the way he plays in this game. But Falcons, they just flat out won this game. 34-27. Going into this, they were a plus 2.5 underdog, the Falcons were. And I took the Commanders minus 2.5. After seeing what Atlanta did the previous week, I had absolutely no faith that Michael Penix was going to play any better than what he did. Sometimes teams figure out what you're not good at, and they just continue to make you try to get good at that. They force your hand. And I thought the Falcons were going to have troubles again. Dan Quinn's defense is very good, but I also know that the head coach for the Falcons, drawing a blank on his name right now, but I know that he is also a really good defensive coach, and they're going to be prepared. And that's what happened. Deebo Samuel's there for the Commanders, but he's 6 catches, 72 yards. And for the most part, we know typically how Deebo Samuel gets a lot of his passes. They are not your, hey, I'm running a beautiful route at 10 to 15 yards, getting open. He does every now and then. He runs a really good dig route, an in-breaking route at 10 to 15 yards. But he mainly runs drag routes. You get him the ball in the backfield, on a little jet sweep toss. Look, just different things like that is how Deebo gets the ball in his hands. And this offense, Terry McLaurin being out, he's the guy. Deebo Samuel really doesn't have much help. They're trying to get Luke McCaffrey involved. With that last name, he's probably getting more chances than most people would. Just being honest. Luke McCaffrey was not anybody that people looked at as he came out. But he's a 3rd-round draft pick. And that last name is going to give him a lot of opportunities to get on the field and show what he can do, in my opinion. So expect the Commanders to try to turn things around. Jaden Daniels will be back this week. I've also got him in the fantasy league. I'm possibly going to play him. Not 1,000% sure, but something I am considering. And I'm really hoping that, this recording is a little bit better. I don't know. I'm actually just trying to chill as I do this now because I'm having to adjust certain things, and I'm just hoping that they turn out better for the future. I'll have a mic stand next time because I have learned that I really do need a mic stand. I can't be leaning all up on the desk like that, as I am not that comfortable. So I'm going to try to see if this thing's focusing in. It is. And we're going to keep on rolling. We've got the New Orleans Saints. They were taking on the Buffalo. So this is a game that I looked at as a 16.5-point favorite. I absolutely did not like trying to pick somebody as a favorite when it's 16.5. You got to win by 17 points. And in the NFL, that is not an easy task unless the other team is just absolutely terrible and you are forcing a lot of turnovers. And I don't see the Saints really forcing or, giving the ball up too much. In Buffalo, their style of offense is they're going to try to run it. If the running game is successful, they're just going to run it down your throat. Then you're going to get the play action. Then you're going to start getting these chunk plays by Josh Allen. Then Josh Allen is going to feel like, hey, it might be time to run this ball. Let me see if I can make a play. So then you get the play action. He's rolling out. Now he can look to run the ball. So now you've got Josh Allen as a dual threat quarterback, and I believe the Bills are going to be one of the top contenders in this league. But I did not think that they was going to beat the Saints by 17 at all. They didn't. It was 31-21, if I'm not mistaken. I'm actually trying to get that right here. Sorry, 31-19. They didn't. They tried to go for 2. So they won by 12. And unfortunately, if you bet Buffalo to win minus 16.5, that was not going to be a successful one. That's just a lot of points. I really don't know. I mean, for bettors, that's almost a give me. Like, you could take the underdog plus 16.5, and that's a pretty solid. You probably got a really good chance of winning that. And that's what happened. I mean, New Orleans is going to play a good game, or they're going to try to play their best game. I mean, looking at Spencer Rattler's stats, the biggest part of this, and his stats, nobody's even talked about it. I haven't heard it one time. But his stats look exactly like Tua's did against the Bills on Thursday Night Football. 18-27, 126 yards. 1 touchdown, no turnovers. I believe his stats were like 23 of 36 or 26 of 33, something like that. He had 144 yards, and he had 2 touchdowns. And I believe he had the 1 interception. He didn't get sacked. Spencer Rattler got sacked 3 times. And they only lose by 12 points in this game. I mean, the running game, oh my. The running game for the Saints, they had 34 team carries for 189 yards. I don't know if the Saints running game is that good. I mean, when you run it 34 times, you run it more times than you are passing. I mean, typically you believe your running game is a little bit more trustworthy than your passing game is. And I think that was the absolute situation in this game. Looking down, and I'm going through these stats here because I just was thinking, I talk a lot about this, and I don't really point out some of the stats that people should maybe look at and consider. My idea of trying to present this to you with picking games against the spread and giving you the review of it is I try to give you just an average or regular viewer's idea of what's happening so you can better understand it. And some people don't know what the spread is, and a lot of TV shows, they pick against the spread. A lot of sports analysts, when they pick games, they pick against the spread. Sometimes they pick up straight up winners. If you watch College Game Day, they actually now pick, maybe 5 games against the spread, and other games they just pick straight up winners or losers. No, they don't pick losers, but they just pick winners straight up. So I always think it's interesting. Why are we picking just against the spread? Why are we picking, overall, just a winner? Well, there's a lot of betting going on, and a lot of people have money that ride on these games. And what this does is when you can see a spread that's plus 1.5, plus 2, plus 4, then you get these ridiculous 7s, 8s, 9s, 10s, or you get a crazy 16. You can already think to yourself that there is no way that we're going to get a 17-point favorite guarantee. I mean, you're betting that you're going to get that 17. But it's tough, especially in the NFL. You see college spreads, you get teams that Florida State was like a 43.5-point favorite in one of their games this year, playing a nobody school. So seeing these spreads, when you get something in the 3.5, that's a tight game. That's what people are expecting. But then when you go on these games and they are, let's for example, like minus 4.5, and then the team just blows them out of the water, just absolutely not even close. And I'll talk about that one here in just a moment. We're almost there. We'll go ahead and move on from this New Orleans one, but the spreads. I just thought it'd be nice to pick them. It just kind of lets you gauge how good teams are, how bad teams are at the same time, and then just kind of where you end up. So this was my gist of why I wanted to do the picks against the spread and not straight up winners and losers, even though if you want, I could just tell you who I think would win straight up. But that would be, I guess, too easy, So we'll go ahead and move on. We've got the Cleveland Browns at the Detroit Lions, and Detroit is they're rolling right now. So I went with them minus 8.5, and they did cover the spread. They actually rolled right over the Browns. And speaking of the Browns, they have a new starting quarterback, Dillon Gabriel. He's going to be the starting quarterback now for the Cleveland Browns, and I don't know what to expect with Dillon Gabriel. Mainly because, I've been on my high horse about quarterbacks and their height, but Dillon Gabriel's 5'11". He's 5'11". Most people don't even think about this. They think, hey, if we look at the roster and we see that this person is 6'2", 212, that seems like a very realistic stat. That is very, very to the T. So to me, that kind of height right there, that is a believable stat. Like, I don't think they're fudging him 5 pounds, 6 pounds. I don't think they're even fudging his height for him. I think they are right on the money of what he is, and put that down on the roster. But Dillon Gabriel's 5'11", 205. That just seems like a very generic number, 205. I mean, he's not a super big guy. I mean, I'm thinking he's probably like that 5'11", 95, 200 range. I feel like they're maybe giving him a couple of pounds here, and I am super skeptical on his actual height. And just for shits and giggles, as I like to say here, we're going to Google him and look at what his combine actual stats were. But they measured him at the combine. Holy cow. He's probably closer to 6 foot, actually. He's actually 5'11" and an eighth. So he is just right at that 5'11" mark. And even there, they do measure him at 205. But that is very generous of them. I have to say, I was very wrong. I'm sorry. I was not expecting that. I was really thinking they were going to fudge him up. They fudge Russell Wilson big time. That was one thing about Russell that I didn't understand. Nobody really talks about his height. I mean, he's a 5'11", 206. You can see that in him. He's a thicker quarterback. He does use his legs. He's mobile. But Dillon Gabriel's not been that guy. Here we go. Russell Wilson's 5'10", 5'8". 5'8", 5'10", 5'8". And he's 204 pounds. That was his pre-draft measurables. So, yes, he's 5'8", so they give him the 5'11". I don't know how they're measuring with or without cleats on, but everybody wears cleats. So, but typically your 5'11", 5'10" quarterbacks have a tough time in the NFL. Not all of them. I mean, Russell Wilson's had a great career. He absolutely has. But to the aspect of what's happening with him now and what is he not able to do, he's 36. He's not running around like he used to. And that is affecting his downfield throwing or his receivers getting open to where he can actually give them a good ball. I mean, completion percentage for his career, 64.6%, 353 touchdowns, 112 interceptions. I mean, those are super elite numbers. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame, unfortunately. A lot of people don't like Russell Wilson. I think he's a fairly good quarterback. I'm just really big on the height and how not a lot of people want to put that out there, and it affects them. It truly does. So I'm curious to see how Dillon Gabriel is going to do. He's a very accurate thrower of the ball, in my opinion. I think he has a pretty strong arm. I'm not sure what kind of game plan the Broncos are going to come in with, the Browns. But Quinshon Judkins has been out there, and he has been just a load to bring down for the Broncos. The Browns. I'm not sure why I keep saying the Broncos, but the Browns just absolutely shit the bed, man. Joe Flacco's not going to start this week. He actually lost his job, and Dillon Gabriel's going to take this for him. And then you've got Shedeur Sanders. I don't know what Shedeur is doing. He's talking like a mime in interviews. Makes absolutely no sense. And apparently he's responding to Rex Ryan. Dude, there's no reason to respond to anybody. I'm nobody, but there's no reason to respond and waste your time and energy on somebody that is literally just speaking their mind on TV to just have an opinion that people can hear. Kind of like what I'm doing, literally. So what I'm saying means nothing, but you make way more money than I do. And being concerned about what somebody else is doing is is the least of my worries and should be of yours too. So the Browns are going to have something to figure out with their offense. Joe Flacco has thrown it 34 times in this game, and he has thrown it a lot this season. And what I'm just not, I'm having a hard time with this because he's not terrible, but he is literally almost 50% every week this season. I mean, on the season right now through 4 games, he's 58.1%. I mean, that is not Joe Flacco. The last time Joe Flacco had 50% completion, it was with the Jets, and he played 5 games. 5 games with the Jets. He threw 57.6% completion, and he didn't turn the ball over a lot. Well, Joe Flacco has just flipped the script. I don't know if his age is taking a factor. I mean, I'm sure it is. You play this long, you're 6'6". I mean, something about super tall guys and longevity is not always up there. Usually the bigger guys start to have the weird problems like the back, the foot, knee. And knee's common, but the foot for a tall person is a very, very bad injury to have. But he's not had any of those. He's had a little bit of a back issue. Has been documented for Flacco. But, he's 2 touchdowns, 6 interceptions right now, and he is just really taking a step back. I mean, 12 touchdowns, 7 interceptions last year with the Colts and the time that he played. It's 8 games, and then the year before that, he played 5 games for Cleveland, 13 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. He doesn't have more interceptions than touchdowns at all until you go back back in 2013. He did have a 19-22 season. 19 touchdowns, 22 interceptions, 59% completion. So that was his only other year where he had more interceptions than touchdowns. So that's super impressive to me. Having that touchdown interception ratio to be, 1, sometimes 2, that's super impressive, especially in this league. But we're going to see what Dillon Gabriel is going to do for this Cleveland Browns football team. Going to be interesting. Might see a heavy run dosage. So expect Quinshon Judkins to be a top fantasy provider. No doubt about that, especially in the backfield pass catching as well. 4 catches, 33 yards. We're going to go ahead and move on to the next game, and I did pick 8.5 Lions. They just absolutely crushed the Browns. There's nothing much to say about the Lions because they execute a lot of the time. And when it's bad teams, they do a very good job of executing. So kudos to the Lions. They've only lost the 1 game on the season, and that was to these fraud Green Bay Packers. Looking at the next game on this list, we've got the Tennessee Titans at Houston. I have just completely lost any faith in the Titans, mainly because you can't get your number 1 pick quarterback any time to throw the ball to feel comfortable. And I'm not sure if the receivers just are super inconsistent with their route running, but in my opinion, Calvin Ridley is your number 1 receiver, and he is not performing at number 1 receiver standard. At this point, I honestly think that Xavier Restrepo needs to probably get into some games sooner than later, so he can have some chemistry with the receiver. Right now, Titans offense just looks absolutely horrendous. There is nothing good about them. They didn't even put up a single point in this game, and it just got to the point to where it was not worth kicking any field goals at all. And I picked the Titans to cover this because C.J. Stroud has just absolutely been disappointing. Absolutely disappointing. But Cam Ward goes 10 of 26, 108 yards, 0 touchdowns, interception. And, of course, C.J. Stroud comes out, plays a bad team, plays great. 22 of 28, 233, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. This is the C.J. Stroud that people watched his rookie year and was hoping to repeat for year 2, and it didn't. And he's finally maybe just getting back on the right track. Since we're 0-3 going to that game, they get the win. They improved to 1-3, and the sorry-ass Titans are 0-4. And I mean, they are not good at all. And Coach is hearing about it, and Coach is getting a little spicy on a lot of his answers. Really, really spicy. Nick Chubb. I love Nick Chubb, man. I'm just thinking these injuries are slowing him down some. But needless to say, 13 carries, 47 yards. Woody Marks comes in the game. He has 17 carries for 69. And Nico Collins, that leading receiver for the Texans, the man that C.J. Stroud can only seem to connect with. He's having himself a heck of a season so far. He's got 18 catches, 260 yards, 2 touchdowns. Really hasn't gotten the big deep balls yet, but he's their best receiver. Had 8 catches for 104 yards the previous game, and he had 4 for 79 in this. So he is really starting to turn things up here, and C.J. Stroud should continue to look his way. But just understand teams are going to take him away from you, C.J., and you can't force it. Just get the ball to your other guys. I mean, you really practice that stuff, and that's what's going to make C.J. Stroud elite is if he can take that next step to be able to make these other receivers better around him. That is really the next biggest thing there. Because you got Dalton Schultz. I mean, he is a veteran tight end. That is a good pass catcher. He's proven it in Dallas, and he's proven it while he's been here in Houston. So if they can get him the ball, he's going to be a really good safety net for C.J. Stroud. Go ahead and move on to the next game. And, of course, the Tennessee Titans effed me in that one. So Carolina Panthers at the New England Patriots. I was kind of figuring that the Carolina Panthers, just absolutely smoking the Falcons, would come out and just play their ass off against the New England Patriots, but not happening. So the Atlanta Falcons redeemed themselves and beat a really good Washington Commander team. And then the Carolina Panthers just come out against a New England team that isn't great, but Vrabel is turning them around, and you can see it. And Drake May is taking that step to be an elite quarterback as well. He is just killing it in fantasy, and I don't think anybody thought that he would be doing that in fantasy. Listen to these stats here. Now, not a lot of passes, not a lot of runs, but a lot of big special teams plays by the Patriots. Drake May, 14 of 17, 203 yards, 2 touchdowns. He only got sacked 1 time, and it was for no loss of yardage. So really shouldn't be a sack, but they say if you don't get past the line of scrimmage, it's a sack. 29 carries, 104 yards for the team. You know, Ramondre Stevenson's been the workhorse back there. He had 9 carries for 38, and then Travion Henderson had 7 for 32. But Stephon Diggs finally gets him a 100-yard game. It's been quite some time. 6 catches, 101. No touchdowns, though. But Diggs found his way in there. Hunter Henry, also the second leading receiver, and he has seemed to be the go-to guy for Drake May. Always talked about tight ends for the Patriots. They always seem to have 2 or 3 guys at the tight end position that they want to try to get the ball to. Austin Hooper and Hunter Henry. That's who they have right now. But the Patriots special teams, they had 2 big returns, 1 for a touchdown, 1 almost for another. Vrabel's got them rolling. They're 2-2. They're right at 500, and the Panthers just have things to work on. I mean, Bryce Young, 18 of 30, 150 yards, 1 touchdown, and he got sacked 1 time. And, of course, you're not going to run the ball as much. I mean, they had 28 carries for 129 yards, and it's 4.5 yards a carry. That's really good. It's something you don't want to get away from, especially with a short quarterback, in my opinion. He's 5'10". I saw a few passes where when he did throw it over the middle, that was because he had enough protection where the pocket worked around him, and then he was able to dump it over the middle, you know, maybe 10, 12 yards down the field to his tight end. But that was strictly because he had the time for the pocket to move around him. He didn't make that throw until it did. And, you know, who knows, if you anticipate that throw, how many more yards can, you know, the defender get or the tight end? Panthers just not really making any improvements at all. I mean, I don't know what about them has been nice, to be honest with you. They've really haven't had much. I mean, they've got a really good rookie receiver, McMillan, out there, and Hunter Renfrew's there, but they're just not doing anything spectacular. 5 yards a completion. That's what Bryce Young's got for you. Compared to the 11.9, almost 12 yards for Drake May. So every pass he completes, that's basically 2 passes worth of what you just did. And that's not going to win you games, unfortunately. Panthers going to fall to 1-3. And the New England Patriots are 2-2. Moving on to so right now we've got back-to-back games that have just absolutely screwed me in this. And now we're going to move on to the LA Chargers at the New York Giants. Jackson freaking Dart, man. He gets his first NFL start, and this man played his heart out. I think Dayball called a really good game for him as well. And people need to understand that the head coach, especially the play caller, needs to put you as a rookie quarterback in situations where you're going to be successful. And yes, you could be an elite thrower all day, every day, but the coach needs to call good plays. You can throw a ball one-on-one to a receiver all day that you want him make a play, but scheming guys open, making it easy reads for your quarterback to where he's comfortable. I think Jackson Dart was very comfortable because he sat back for a few weeks. He's watched Russell Wilson, and I'm sure this offense is going to be similar to what Russell's running. I mean, Jackson Dart can make all the throws, but he's a better runner. And we saw how this game plan was evolved around Jackson Dart's running ability. Not only with Jackson Dart's running ability, you also got Scattaboo next to him, and you're running read options off of that. There's so much that you can do with this offense now. And Jackson Dart, is 13 of 20, doesn't throw it a lot in his first game. 13 of 20, 111 and a touchdown. That is an efficient game for a young quarterback, and nobody's going to talk about his yardage at all. I'm not even going to. That's an efficient game. He didn't turn the ball over, and Scattaboo carries it 25 times for 79 yards, and Dart has it for 10 for 54. So they were all in on the running game. 42 running plays is what they call it. 42. Scattaboo is going to be the guy that is just going to wear teams down, in my opinion. I think that's the game plan that the Giants are going to have when you have the rookie quarterback in Jackson Dart. So look for that. Don't look for these crazy numbers. Malik Neighbors is out, tears his ACL. You don't have him no more. You've got Darius Slayton, Theo Johnson, Wan'Dale Robinson, Daniel Bellinger, and you got Cam Scattaboo. There's going to be one more guy in there, which Jalen Hyatt, where the hell are you, dude? Where are you at? You are supposed to be a speed guy. You're supposed to be out there, man. It's supposed to be Neighbors, Slayton, and Hyatt. And Wan'Dale subbing in. But they don't have that. I don't know what's up with Jalen Hyatt. He was an electric receiver at Tennessee. He was a guy that stretched the field, and he's not getting on the field, which is a huge, huge problem. Jackson Dart gets his win in this game. He shows a lot of moxie and why they drafted him. And Justin Herbert had probably his poorest game, and he had the Justin Herbert game that I've been thinking he was going to have a lot sooner, and he just didn't have it yet. Well, fourth game in, he has it. 23 of 41, 203, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. And it just slightly, he had a solid game last week, got sacked 5 times. But this week he gets sacked 2 times, but he's almost 50% passing. What is happening, Justin? Giants have a great pass rush. That's the problem, and Herbert's losing his line left and right. Literally lost his left tackle and lost his right tackle, I'm pretty sure. So they have got to figure some things out. And with that, you completely hampered your running ability because you had 13 carries for 152 yards total. Amir Hampton had the 12 carries, and Justin Herbert had 1. And you had 152 yards rushing. What? We threw it 41 times offensively, the Chargers did. Why was the running game abandoned, in my opinion? Why wasn't the running game a focal point? That's what I understand sometimes. You fall in love with your ability to throw the ball at the quarterback position, and you just completely abandon the run game. And I think that's what the Chargers did. And the Giants got after him. Plain and simple. Giants have a really good pass rush. They're young, and they're just going to continue to get better every game. And with that, the Giants play a defensive game, don't turn the ball over offensively, and Jackson Dart gets his first win. The Chargers suffer their first loss. And, they jacked me, dude. Had -5.5 on the Chargers. And once again, we're going 4 in a row for this. Philadelphia Eagles at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I had the Tampa Bay Buccaneers plus 2.5 on this. And it should have been plus 2.5. That was a former Super Bowl champion coming into Tampa Bay. And I thought the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were a very hot team coming in. Baker Mayfield has this offense rolling. But they've also been winning a lot of close games. And when you win a lot of close games, good teams are going to make it very, very tough for you to stay in these close games. You know, typically if you win all these close games, there's going to be a few that slip away from you. And unfortunately, that's what happened. Baker tries to do a little too much in this game at a time where they needed to play. And Baker just turned the ball over. If Baker doesn't throw that terrible interception in the end zone, I honestly think that the Buccaneers probably beat the Eagles. I mean, I think you score a touchdown on that drive, you completely flip the momentum, and then you just don't lose a game 35-21. You have a chance. And once again, the Eagles do everything they need to do to win a game. Nothing pretty, nothing fancy, but they did everything they needed to, and they won the game. Buccaneers 3-1. Baker's got a little bit of an injury I'm concerned about. He's got this bicep. Now he's got a knee. But the bicep injury I don't like, especially on the throwing arm. I'm just not sure. Maybe it's bruised, but, I mean, you're throwing a lot coming across. You know, is it a fear of a tear? Well, what is it? Is it a strain? And what kind of limitations will that have on Baker throughout the season if he continues to play on it? So, going to be probably looking forward to a bye week at some point in time, as I believe the Bucs actually have a bye. No, they don't. They have the Seahawks this week. I'm sorry. Looking ahead on the schedule. But, yeah, man, Buccaneers really close in that game. And the Eagles just once again find a way to win. The person I wanted to talk about, and you probably can already tell who I'm about to talk about because I just cannot stand how you're unhappy when you're winning games. So, A.J. Brown, I have him on fantasy this year, so I am absolutely feeling the absolute screwage of a number one receiver just not being able to put up any points at all. Like, not even looking his way, not even getting 10 targets a game. I mean, whenever he catches, he is getting three targets, 3 catches, 3 targets, 2 catches, and it is just nothing compared to what a number one receiver should be getting. And yes, Devontae Smith's on the other side, but that's not the point. A.J. Brown had 9 targets and he had 2 catches for 7 yards. What kind of targets were these? Because everyone else had less targets. Dallas Goedert 4 for 4. Saquon 4 for 4. Devontae 2 for 2. Calcaterra 1 for 2. John Mechie 2 for 2. A.J. Brown's the only one that's 2 for 9. Why is he 2 for 9? That's because they're trying to force him the ball, not like these other guys that are getting the ball. They're getting the ball based off of, hey, I made this read, you were open. That's where the ball needed to go. And I think A.J. Brown is getting to the point to where he is causing Jalen Hurts to throw him the ball at times where, hey, I probably could have just went over here and had a completion, but I trust you because you're number one receiver and you need the ball thrown to you to keep you happy. He makes this tweet about basically don't say anything in silence, just keep your head down, shrug your shoulders, something like that. When you put stuff out there to read between the lines, you're going to allow people to think what they want. And if that's not what you were trying to say, don't put anything out there to read between the lines. Just don't say anything at all. Or just flat out say what you mean. And things will be good. But they're going to have some issues with A.J. Brown, unfortunately. Devontae Smith, you ever hear him talk? I don't. So I'm not sure why A.J. Brown believes he needs the ball to be thrown to him. I mean, did you get 9 targets, man? You just only had 2 catches. But I just don't think he's getting the best opportunities when the ball is thrown to him because they want to force it. If they just cut down these, 7 incompletions because he was trying to throw to A.J. Brown for Hurts, he would have been 23 of 24. Sorry, 22 of 24. Just a 22 of 24. Jalen Hurts would have been in this game if he probably wasn't forcing it to A.J. Brown because he needs the ball. So, I don't know. I just don't understand A.J. Brown, dude. You're winning games. You just won a Super Bowl. And because you're not getting the targets, do you want to have 1,000 yards receiving and 110 catches but not make the playoffs and it mean absolutely nothing? That's what it sounds like to me. Like, you got your Super Bowl. Maybe now you just want to be the guy. Maybe you want to be known as that is a badass receiver. Everybody knows you are, though, man. Everybody knows you are. All you need to do is continue to do your thing, do your job, block, win games. That's it. That's all anybody cares about. I guarantee if you have an average season, if you don't have 1,000 yards, but you win a ring, and you do that for the next 3 to 4 years, you're going to be a Hall of Famer. Guaranteed. It sounds stupid, but it's guaranteed. Terry Bradshaw is a Hall of Famer mainly because he just won Super Bowls. If you go look at his stats, Russell Wilson has 10 times better stats than he does. Anyways, Philadelphia just puts the clamps down on Tampa Bay, and they beat the Buccaneers. They covered that -2.5 spread, and I didn't pick that. I went +2.5, so of course I ate the bullet on this one. And take another L. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going on 5 now in a row that I did not get. So next one up on the chopping block, we have got the Indianapolis Colts. They're taking on the Rams. And I thought the Rams would win, but I didn't think that they would be covering the spread like they did. They score a late 88-yard touchdown in this game. Matthew Stafford's the guy. I don't know what to tell you. Matthew Stafford has been the guy for some time, and I don't expect things to change at all. Colts, though, are a very good team. They are very good. They lose their first game of the season, but Daniel Jones, Indiana Jones, my man, he has got things rolling for the Colts. Colts are going to continue to be contenders in the AFC. We can all admit we didn't expect that. But once again, Daniel Jones has a really good game. The deciding factor, in my opinion, is the 2 interceptions, and then your boy Adonai Mitchell dropping the ball in the end zone. That is absolutely unacceptable. Just hold the ball, run in, do whatever you want after you cross the goal line. Adonai Mitchell was the reason why the Colts lost this game, and just those couple turnovers by old Danny Jones. But what can you say, man? The Rams, Sean McVay, they've always got things fine-tuned offensively, and that play on the scoring drive, 88-yard touchdown, was a thing of beauty. Tutu Atwell ran an amazing route, but hey, Stafford got a look, and typically you don't get that look. And once he knew this route was going to open up in this, he took a shot. And, hey, they capitalized, man. Rams win that, but they don't cover the spread. It was a +4.5 spread, which I thought was kind of hefty, man. I really was looking for maybe like a 2.5 or even a 1.5 on that. But, hey, I'm just taking what they got on the sheet. Colts get me on that one. But the Rams do win. I'm going to move on to Jacksonville at San Francisco. Jacksonville, man, they are just like the up and down team right now. They've got a really good defensive coordinator. He has really kept their team in games with a lot of this defensive play. And I thought with Mac Jones back to the bench and Brock Purdy coming in that we would see a better San Francisco team. I think we actually regressed a little bit. Brock Purdy is dealing with that injury, and now he's going to be out again as he re-aggravated that. But he was 22 of 38, 309 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Not your typical Brock Purdy game. Not efficient at all. Just 2 turnovers, not anything that he typically does. And I think this Jaguars defense really got after him. And just not having any receivers. I mean, the 49ers right now are depleted at receivers. Their biggest weapon that they have, Christian McCaffrey. So until they can get some receivers back, I mean, I think the 49ers are really going to struggle. And Mac Jones is going to be back in the lineup this week. So look for the next picks to be affected by Mac Jones playing, but I did not think that the Jaguars were going to cover that one. They did, though. I went San Francisco -3.5. They win 26-21, and Mr. Lawrence plays a Hey, mistake-free game. 21-31, 174 and a touchdown. No interceptions. And Travis Etienne, you have resurrected yourself, my man. You came into this league, supposed to be hot shit, and you kind of fell off. Then Tank Bigsby comes to play. And if people are questioning, like, man, why isn't Tank playing? He looks like he's running a lot harder than Travis is. But, hey, you weathered the storm, my man. You look exactly like what people want. Jaguars take that one. I take another L as well. Finally get back on a winning streak here. Kansas City taking on Baltimore in Kansas City. I went plus 2.5 Kansas City on that as Baltimore was favorited. And I'm just not seeing the Ravens that we typically see. They are getting absolutely scorched in their secondary, and I don't know what they need to do. I think they've got to make some changes, unfortunately, for the defensive side of the ball. Zach Gore has been the defensive coordinator, and since he's been the defensive coordinator, in my opinion, he's had to have a lot of help. He's not been able to just coordinate this defense and not have someone have to come in and help him to some extent and maybe fix things. So Baltimore, until they figure out a real experienced defensive coordinator, I think they're going to continue to have issues that maybe Zach Orr cannot cover up. Mahomes and the offense found their stride again. Mahomes has a 4-touchdown game since 2023, and he just lit Baltimore up. Just lit them up. I mean, you don't get surprised by anything that Mahomes does, whether it's a big game or a bad game. Here's a down game. Anytime he is capable of having a 4 or 5 touchdown game, people are going to be like, what do you expect, man? It's Mahomes. Well, at least I am. A lot of people hate on the guy because he's won so much early. Kansas City covers that spread. The defense is always really solid for Kansas City. You don't really see them getting blown out too much, except in the Super Bowl. Moving on, Chicago at Las Vegas, and I went plus 1.5 with Chicago because Ben Johnson, I think he started to get them on the right track. The Cowboys game, to me, was a little bit of a proving point, and once again, they play a really solid game against the Pete Carroll Vegas football team, and they were able to scrape this one out last minute. I mean, there was a last-second touchdown that just was a beauty. Drawed up well. They went for 2, didn't get it, but they win 25-24. And they covered that plus 1.5 spread there because they won as well. If they would have lost by 1, still would have been covered. But Ben Johnson has just really made this offense a little bit more explosive. I mean, we didn't have the explosive game like you did against the Cowboys, but Caleb Williams is a very dynamic passer, and he can chuck the ball downfield really well. So I'm expecting Ben Johnson to really get the offense rolling. And, hey, the running game got rolling for the Raiders, and Ashton Jeanty had himself a game. 21 carries, 138 yards, and a touchdown. And if you watch his touchdown run, the view they show, it looks very close like this man about dropped the ball before the end zone. Very, very close. So, Jeanty, just hang on to the ball, please, man. You can't pull in a Donnie Mitchell and finger roll the ball before the end zone gets there, basically. But, man, the Raiders run game, seeing Jeanty getting rolling, that was nice. I want to check in on one more guy. He's hadn't toted the ball too much this year, it looks like, but old Raheem Mostert. They're on the Raiders at 4 carries for 62 yards. So Raiders probably going to start relying on that run game if it can get going there, because Geno Smith was not much of a passer in this game, as he has been the last few. He was 14 of 21 through 3 picks, though. Those picks, Geno, they're going to hurt you, man. You gotta stop turning the ball over. Moving on to the Packers. So this spread was actually super jacked up. They had minus 5.5 from the Cowboys on this spread, but I literally looked at ESPN, and it was the polar opposite. It's supposed to be minus 5.5 Green Bay. So, of course, my wife being a Cowboys lover, I am going to pick the Cowboys 5.5. And anybody predict a 40-40 tie? I did not. But let me just say that the play calling the Cowboys had to just completely take Micah Parsons out of the game was phenomenal. I think they did everything they could to make him chase after every play, and I think they knew that would quintessentially wear him down throughout the game and just make him less and less of an effective pass rusher. And that's what happened. Cowboys played their best offensive game. I mean, Dak Prescott was phenomenal. Him and Jordan Love almost had identical stats. Dak went 31 to 40, 319, 3 touchdowns. He sacked one time, and that was when Micah Parsons tripped him up at the line of scrimmage, which he technically had the ball past it, but they credit him with a sack. And Jordan Love was 31 to 43, 337, and 3 touchdowns, 1 sack as well. So both teams were identical stats-wise. Packers had the edge on the rushing aspect, but not by much, really. Just it's about a little less than 50 yards more. But wow, this was just a extremely good passing game. Both defenses were terrible in the secondary. But hey, it's exciting to watch when both teams are going back and forth. But ending in a 40-40 tie, I'm not even sure how you feel about that. That's just the I mean, you don't win and you don't lose. Like, you literally have a neutral feeling about what happened. So Cowboys are 1-2-1, and the Green Bay Packers are 2-1-1. And the Packers went from being one of the Super Bowl contenders, in my opinion, to now, I don't know what they are. I have no idea. We're going to move on. We got 2 more games, and it's the final 2 games, and I'll do these backwards. I'm going to do the Bengals first, and I'll do my Dolphins last. Bengals at Denver, and Denver's defense is absolutely phenomenal, so I picked them to win this one, and they absolutely just shut down the Bengals offense and made them look absolutely pathetic. I mean, people were talking about an embarrassing loss, embarrassing performance. What you put on the field was not a professional product, is basically what a lot of people said. And you can see Jamar Chase is absolutely frustrated with it. Now, he cannot stand the fact that I can't get the ball, man. What's going on? Your quarterback can't stand up in the pocket that long. That's the problem. We can't block long enough for him to be able to get the ball out to you. So until they can figure that out, the Bengals are going to be terrible this year. They better don't tank, because that's a terrible thing to do or say. But you're going to have to go back to the drawing board. You need to draft some offensive linemen. You need to sign some young guys and have some depth too, because that is a problem. And if Joe Burrow comes back to this, Joe Burrow's not going to have a healthy career. I mean, he's okay. Nobody says this, but people want to tell Tua to retire because he gets his concussion, then he gets another one, and then he has a moment where he might have had another. And people want him to retire for good. Like, why are people hating on him like that? Like, come on now. How many defensive players get 5, 6, 7 concussions and they continue to play? Denzel Ward has one. The man has like 5 or 6 concussions. Nobody even brought him up why he might need to retire. Tua gets 2, and people are thinking this man needs to quit, retire. You know, he has not even missed half the games that Joe Burrow's missed. Do you understand that? Joe Burrow's about to miss basically 2 full seasons. Almost 3 full seasons of games worth. Got hurt his rookie year, won the Super Bowl the second year, hurt his wrist the following year, came back last year. Like, there's so many things that Joe Burrow has been enduring since he's been in this league, and it is not a recipe for success. Andrew Luck retired early because he was getting beat up. Getting beat up all the time. They had great defensive players, but there was not a good offensive line around him. And he ended up retiring because of ankle injuries and just constantly having to recover and then going through the process of rehab. It just drains you mentally. And this could be Burrow soon, but let's hope not. Denver just absolutely dominates. Sean Payton, Bo Nix. Hey, what is there to say? They look great. Moving on, last but not least, my Miami Dolphins. They take on the Jets, and they wear the underwater midnight rival, whatever the hell you want to call those. They're black jerseys. People say they're not. They're dark blue. What? Are you sure? There's blue on there. But there was also a lot of black. So the Dolphins come out. I'm going to say it. They come out in these black jerseys that are supposed to be like underwater aqua, whatever you want to call it. And hey, they play a hell of a game. McDaniel probably called his best plays so far this year. before Tyree got hurt and after. But did you see how hard teams bit down on play action pass because you got in a formation where you typically run this certain play, right? McVay does this. I've talked about it. You run a certain play every time. When you play action off that play, because you gave him that look so many times, how many times did Tua roll out and there was nobody around him and he was just comfortable throw on the run? And how many times do we see when he's pressured rolling out to his left or the right and he looks like he's throwing the ball with everything that he had in his soul to get it to him? But now you get him time and he's just touch passes, man. Darren Waller shows up. He just finished making an album and he goes and catches three balls and 2 touchdowns, man. Come on. Rapper and receiver, man. Come on. Dolphins defense forced turnovers. That was absolutely incredible. First drive of the Jets. I'll be honest. I was getting super frustrated with the fact that the Jets were running the ball right down the throat of the defense. Specifically because I talked about on the first set of picks this season, kind of talking about how things would play out all year. I said Justin Fields was going to run his ass off in this offense. I said Justin Fields was going to run like he's never ran before, pretty much, like he did the last year in Chicago. And that's what he did. That's what he did. And the Dolphins are out to try to stop that. And for the most part, I thought they did a fairly good job of stopping Justin Fields, except on the one run where he ended up busting out and having a 43-yard touchdown. But you take away the 43-yard run, I mean, he's under 30 yards, 6 carries for 30 yards. And that's tremendous. But they had 28 carries for 197 yards, and a lot of that was early in the game, taking a lot of clock off. But they can't throw the ball. A lot of the yards that he's gotten was garbage time, a lot of prevent defense, just basically stacking up to the run. Garrett Wilson had a great catch. I mean, Garrett Wilson is a number 1 receiver. They're not going to be prolific passing with Justin Fields, unfortunately. And if they can't stay in games and not turn the ball over, running the ball like they're running it is going to be a recipe for disaster. Because when you got to throw it, teams are going to lock down on you. But the story of this game was Tyreek Hill, man. He had 6 catches, 67 yards, and he goes out, dislocates his knee, tears his ACL, several other things as included. Did fortunately not have any bone damage, anything like that, nerve damage. So he should be back. He'll be back next year. Don't know when, but they're looking at the 2026 season. I expect him to try to do everything he can to get back on this team and be a part of it. But, guys, I ran really long on this one, probably because I went through the stats and I normally don't. Been really fun talking. I really hope the audio is good on this. My test was a little bit of some crackling in there, but for the most part, I think you should hear everything well. And I pretty much held this mic in my hand the whole time. So hopefully the audio is good in that aspect. If it is, I'm going to invest in a microphone stand that may be off to the side or even off to this side. And then, I can just talk into it sideways because I needed to be up here. And when it's down on the desk, I'm struggling. So I really appreciate it if you've listened this long. If you even skip to the end to just see what I'm talking about by the end, that's cool too. But I love doing this, something I procrastinated about for a while. So until this becomes a normal thing and I can get to a weekend consistently, I'll probably tell you how much I appreciate this. I'll probably still tell you how much I appreciate it. But ladies and gentlemen, it's been a pleasure talking to you about football. We're going to go into week 5 here, probably tomorrow. I'll post a video, record it, and post it. And we'll have some Thursday night football in the NFL on Amazon Prime. And just go ahead and give you a little recap of who that is. So your Thursday night game, which I'll do the picks tomorrow for, you got the 49ers taking on the LA Rams. And the 49ers got some injuries, so I'm thinking this Rams game, this could be a dirty one. It's a minus 8.5 favorite for the Rams right now. So we'll keep our eyes posted on that, and we'll do the picks tomorrow, and we'll try to post it right away. Thanks, guys, for listening. It means a lot to me. So thanks again. I am Tyler Clemens. Tune in for the next one.